Hello, gentlemen. Probably a good idea to do a global troop count. So I'm pretty sure my board is up to date and accurate, which is a rarity. But if there's any discrepancies, please bring them to my attention. We'll start with Central USA. 4 tanks, 2 mechs. Eastern United States, 5 infantry. C-Zone 101. There is 3, 4, 5, 6 transports. In Scotland, there's an American TAC. In London, there are 2 Frenchmen, 5 AA, and 2 British fighters. In C Zone 25, there's an American destroyer. In C Zone 127, there's a German transport. In Norway, the Americans have 1 mech, 6 infantry, 3 AA, 2 artillery. The British have 1 fighter, 1 tank, 1 mech, 3 artillery, 5 infantry, and let's go to C Zone 112. The British have 5 transports. The Americans have 1, 2, 3 carriers, 6 fighters, 1 cruiser, and the Germans have a cruiser, a carrier, a fighter, and a TAC in 113. In 115, there's a Russian sub and a soon-to-be-dead German transport. Let's go to 105. There's a American sub. 93, there are 2 American subs. 95, there's 1 Italian sub. And now let's start with Africa. Morocco, 2 Frenchmen. Algeria, 1 Italian infantry, 1 Italian artillery. Nothing all the way to Cairo. We have Malta, 1 infantry and 1 AA. In Cairo, there's 2 French infantry, 1 British infantry, a tank, and 2 mechs. Anglo-Egypt Sudan has a artillery and an infantry. There's a empty transport in 72, another empty British transport in 71, with 2 Anzac in South Africa and 1 British infantry in South Africa. There's a French destroyer, a British destroyer, and 2 transports in C Zone 81. There's an infantry and an artillery in Transjordan. The Italians have 2 infantry in Cyprus, 3 infantry in Greece. In Yugoslavia, they have 3 tanks and a mech. The Germans in Romania have a artillery and 2 infantry. In northern Italy, there are 2 infantry and 1 tank. In Rome, there are 3 fighters, 1 AA, 1 Strat bomber, and it looks like 6 infantry. In southern France, that factory is maxed out. There's no damage on Normandy. In Paris, you have 4 German infantry, 3 artillery, and 1 AA. There's nothing in Normandy, nothing in Holland. In Western Germany, there are 2 fighters, 2 TACs, 2 Italian AA, 4 Italian infantry, 3 Italian artillery, 3, 4, 5 German infantry, 3 tanks, 3 mechs, 1 German AA, 2 artillery for Germany. In Berlin, there is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 infantry, 3 artillery, 2 AA, 1 fighter, 1 TAC, 2 Strats. Poland, 2 infantry and a artillery. Baltic States, 2 infantry. Eastern Poland, there's an Italian AA, 2 Italian tanks, 2 German infantry. Bessarabia, 1 German infantry. Western Ukraine, 2 infantry, 1 artillery for Germany. Belarus has 1 infantry and 1 artillery. You have 3 infantry in Novgorod. You own Finland, Karelia, not Vyborg, Archangel, and Anestia. But there's nothing in any of those countries. The Russians have 2 infantry in Vologda. In Moscow, they have 2 TACs, 1 fighter, 1 tank, 1 mech. Smolensk, 3, 4, 5 infantry, 1 AA, 2 artillery. In Ukraine, there's an AA gun, a fighter, 1 mech, 1 tank, 4 infantry, and 4 artillery. Let's go over to China. There's 2 infantry and 1 fighter in Kansu, 1 infantry in Seiwan, 2 Chinese infantry in Hopei. The Japanese have an infantry in Sensi, which I overlooked. I didn't see that. I would have hit that instead and blocked you, but I'm screwed now. 2 mechanized infantry in Chahar, 2 mechs in Sichuan with a tank. There's a fighter, 2 infantry and 2 artillery in Yunnan. In Burma, there's 1 infantry. Shan State, there's an AA gun, 2 infantry, 2 fighters, 1 artillery, 1 mech, 1 infantry, 1 artillery. I'm not sure if the mech is right. In Malaya, there's a transport in 37. There's a British destroyer in 79, 2 infantry in West India. The British have 2 fighters, 1 TAC in India, as well as 3 AA, 4 artillery, 1 tank, should be 20 infantry. You have a fighter and a TAC on top of a carrier, as well as a sub, a transport, and 1 destroyer in 39. In Silleom, there's 1 artillery and 1 infantry. You have 3 infantry in French Indochina. I think that's empty. There's nothing else anywhere else. You have an infantry and an artillery in New Guinea. There's a Anzac fighter in Western Australia. They've taken Queensland with an infantry and artillery. They have 3 infantry, 3 tanks, 1 mech, 2 AA pieces, 2 artillery in South Wales. Japanese have 2 infantry in New Zealand with a transport in 63. In 62, there's a transport, a sub, a carrier, a fighter, and a TAC. In 54, there's a carrier with a fighter and a TAC, as well as a transport. In New Guinea, there's an infantry and an artillery. In Caroline Islands, there are 2 strap bombers, 1 tank, 2 infantry. In the sea zone, there are 3 carriers with 4 fighters, 2 TACs. There's a sub, a destroyer, a cruiser, transport, and 2 battleships. Let's move to Shanghai. There's a bomber, strap bomber, a tank, 2 mechs. Anhui, 2 TACs, 1 fighter, 1 infantry. Chahar, 2 mechanized. Manchuria, 9 infantry, 1 AA, 1 artillery. Amur, 2 Anzac fighters. Korea, 12 infantry, 2 AA for Russia. Siberia, there's Americans, 4 of them infantry, 1 artillery, 1 AA, 2 mechs, and 3 fighters. Japan has 3 infantry, 3 AA guns, and 2 fighters on the mainland of Japan. They have 4 subs. In Season 6, there's also an American sub there. The Americans have 6 subs, 3 carriers, 4 fighters, 2 cruisers, 2 destroyers, 1 battleship. The Americans also have 1 infantry and 4 tanks in Alaska. There's 4 transports in Season 1, 4 infantry in Western Canada. I believe that's it for the whole wide world. If I got anything wrong, let me know. But yeah, I think we're pretty good. So there's our troop count, gentlemen.